Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, Independent Stamping Up Demonstrator. Today I have a fun card. It's called a spinner card. As you can see here, this little mechanism here spins. So when the card is opened, it has that spinning effect. So I'm going to show you how to make this card, but I'm also going to show you a few things of what not to do. My husband always taught my children that you can learn as much from somebody about what not to do as what to do. So I'm going to show you some of the mistakes I made in this card. I love the fact that it's beautiful and it's colorful and it uses this great Welcome Easter stamp set with the bunny and the lamb and the little chick. But there were a few things when I made this card, but I went ahead and used this as our sample. Hopefully the one we make today on the video will be the one we display. So here I have a little bit of a boo-boo here when I put some removable tape there to hold it in place, and it just gave a little bit too much pressure, so I'm not going to do it on this one. My fishing line that holds this mechanism in is not tight enough, so it's a little too loose, so I'm going to tighten that up, and the way I adhered it, I think I'm going to do it a different way. And also, I don't know if you can see in the video, but these impressions here on this designer paper here are from my plate, which I really thought was a pretty clear plate. It hadn't been cut on, but there were some cut marks and it did put an impression in there. So I'm going to use a clean plate and keep that plate clean for whenever I do want to have an absolutely perfect piece of paper, you know, designer paper or cardstock. So let's get to start on here. And like I said, few little mistakes here, but you know, the first time you make a card, many times it's a sample, it's, you know, a learning curve. So we're going to hopefully fix my boo-boos here. All right, so we're going to set this aside here. Welcome Easter. And I used a pretty palette of balmy blue and pear pizzazz and a little bit of flirty flamingo and some daffodil and pumpkin pie. And so the card base is going to be a half a sheet of our cardstock, and it is 4 1/4 by 11, and you'll score it at 5 1/2, and you'll have a portrait size card that opens from the bottom. And so then I liked having a contrast here of the white because I have the white shown through here. There are no dies that go with this Welcome Easter stamp set, so you can fussy cut them out, or you can use, if you have a scan and cut or one of those type of machines, you could use that to cut it out. So what I'm going to do is use this white as that border on the front of the card. And then I just took some designer series paper. I do believe this is from our last catalog. I could not imagine me trying to find something in the stamp room. So I'm sure you have craft rooms that have piles of things here and there. And for the life of me, I could not find our current paper. So I just got in my stash and got out some of this pretty one. But any designer paper would work. Anything that has, you know, colors that coordinate with the colors that you're going to color your little critters there. So I just used a 4 by 5 1/4, so that leaves an 1/8 of an inch border around the whole card. And then I'm just going to pop on a piece of designer series paper. Any pattern paper you have with colors that you like and coordinate will work. And this is balmy blue with some polka dots. And I saw that I'm a little crooked there. So you're going to pop that on. And this piece that I am using is 3 3/4 wide by 4 inches long. I found that to be the best size. I measured it for what the circle I was using so that I had a good amount of the designer paper showing. So 3 3/4 by 4. Like I said, if you use a smaller circle or you use a square, you might change your paper there. You might just say, oh, you know what, it works better to do that. So a lot of times when you're designing a card and you see one online or you're watching a video like now, you might just say, oh, you know what, I have this other paper to use. Oh, I'm going to do this with this other stamp set. That's what this is for, just to get inspired. So then I took, just on, you know, the design of this card, and I put a 1 inch by 3 3/4 there. And it's looking like it's, remember, we want this card to turn out really perfect here. So I'm just going to straighten up my lines there. Okay. And then I just took a little strip, and this strip here is a 1/4 inch strip, and I'm putting it down here across just to break up the two designer papers. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my Tombow here, and I'm finding more and more, keeping my surface clean with my little silicone craft mat, because adhesive, of course, we're going to have a little Tombow that doesn't want to cooperate here. There we go. I'm finding that I was getting so much glue, and on my desk that's a wooden desk, that craft desk table that I work at, I was having to clean it so often with all that goo on there. So then I'm just going to clean up that edge there and put that little strip right there on the bottom. Now, we're going to have to cut a hole for our little mechanism to spin around on. So this is one thing that I'm changing up on my card. I was able to cut out 3 layers. Since designer paper and Whisper White are on the thinner side, I had no problem going through. If you do have a problem going through, you would just cut the circle out of here, put it back onto here, draw a circle on your cardstock, and then cut that out. But I had no problem running it through my Big Shot with those, the Whisper White and the designer paper. But what I did the first time is I put some of my removable purple tape on there, and it just gave it, maybe because of the pressure of the thickness of the paper, but that's where I had trouble tearing it off. So then I just brought out some temporary adhesive that I have, and this is just, you know, I just picked this up somewhere, but it's an adhesive that does not permanently adhere to your card. So I had somebody at class one time using it, and I looked over and I said, oh, do you know that your card's going to fall apart as soon as you leave class? So make sure you always use permanent when you want permanent and temporary when you want temporary. So this is just going to keep this in place for me. And what I did is I knew that my little guy, okay, I kind of worked backwards. He's this size. So I found this circle, and this circle was a 2 1/8 inch circle in our layering circles. And I knew he would fit in there. Then I knew I wanted to get one that was going to give me enough room for it to spin around in the circle. So just play with what you have, what circles you have, or, you know, oval, whatever design you want to put on your card, and just kind of work backwards from the image and go out. So this is a circle that's about 2 5/8. And then I just took the scallop that's just the size up from the 2 5/8, and that will be the cute little scallop here that I'm going to do. Okay, so we're just going to move little Peeper over there, and then we are going to put our circle. Now I will go ahead and put a little of this purple tape on here, because what I'll do is I'll put it in place the way I want it. There we go. And I will go ahead and put some, but I'll put it towards the inside, so if I mess this up, I'm not going to be crying too much. So I have it temporarily adhered to this, and if I put my Big Shot up here, we are going to have major chaos here. So if you can just bear with me, I'm just going to put this onto my Big Shot. I'm going to open up the card, because you want to have the whole card open when you're running it through the Big Shot, because you don't want to cut through this piece. So I'm going to put the card onto the plate, and then I'm going to put a nice clean plate up above on the top, so that I don't get any etchings from the, see, and then it just poured out. Now see, this got a little impression on it from the pressure, but that won't cause any problems because it's clear on this side, clean on that side. So there we go. We can just pop this out now. And see, I had no trouble going through those layers of paper. But if you're using different, like 2 different colors of cardstock, or you weren't using the thinner Whisper White, you might have to, what you would do is you would cut out first this white with the designer paper, then you would lay it back down onto your paper, just draw the circle, and then you would pop that circle onto there and cut it out, and then you would be all good to go. So see, that comes off there pretty easily. Okay, so there we go. We have the front of the card. So let's go ahead and put our spinner mechanism in. So now we're going to pull off. The reason why we put this on temporarily is because we have to put the spinning mechanism in between the front and the card base. So if the first time I made the card, I did the, I adhered it And then I was like, oh, darn, I have to go back in there. So what we're going to do is we are going to be adhering a piece of fishing line in between here and layering this on top. So one thing I did is when I made this, I put down the piece of fishing and then I put tear and tape on there. Whereas it made it a little hard for me to put the thing back on top of it. So what I'm going to do this time is I am going to use Scotch tape. I think that's going to be the most effective. Where is my fishing line? Fishing, oh, there it is. Okay, so I went over and asked my husband to give me some fishing line. Actually, he gave me like a 6-pound. I'm not sure. I would have liked a little bit heavier of a weight one, but he just told me, here's this one, took it out of his tackle box. So, alrighty. So we are going to lay our little thing aside here, and you're going to put this across. I guess we can close it. It's going to go right down the middle there. So I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape to adhere this. And like I said, I've seen tear and tape used, whatever. It just has to be nice and tight. Now I'm going to put one down here on the bottom because that just worked with my, oh, hopefully you can see that there. Don't want to shake the camera. You could use tear and tape. Like I said, I just thought I'm going to try Scotch tape. Now I do notice that I have a smaller space here, so I'm just going to have to trim my tape here and make that nice, as tight as I can get it. Because like I said, it has to be tight to do the spinning. Maybe put the tape actually on there. Yeah, this is a little tricky because you want to get it nice and tight. I don't know if that's tight enough for me. Let me pop this tight tape up here. Thank you for bearing with me here. It's a very, very simple card to make. It's just to get this tight here. It's like your fingers are slippery. There we go. And then burnish it right along the lines, and then you've got your fishing line there. And then you just trim off the fishing line. Take that little piece off there. Get all this tape off your fingers. And then we're going to be putting this designer series paper back on here. So what we can do now is we can actually do that with our snail. So I'm just going to put my snail around the edges of my paper and up the side. And when I had the tear and tape on here, when I went to put this on, it stuck. So that's why I decided to use Scotch tape this time. But we'll see. Let me see here. This is a little difficult to see where I'm doing my work here. Okay, there we go. Now we've got that on, and then we have this little piece of twine here. Well, twine. If you use twine or cording, it's not going to be as strong. The fishing line is strong. So the next thing is we need to put our circle in here. Now this circle here is that 2 1/8 inch circle that I mentioned that fit around the little critters there. So I decided to put a little lamb here, and I just use my blends. As you can see, blends bleed through to the other side. So that's okay in this instance because we are going to be putting it. Okay, so we're going to put the little lamb there, and we're going to be putting the little peep on the other side. So let's put the little peep on too. Oh, I'm already thinking about how to use this little peep on little treats with those little chicks, those little marshmallow peeps. Okay, so we're going to want to put this on the front and this one on the back. As you can see how it's on the opposite side. Okay, so let's try another thing here too. I am wondering, what do you guys think about putting dimensionals in there? It might be a little too thick, I'm not sure. But I think what I will do here is I'm going to try a little piece of Scotch tape again. Because like I said, the tear and tape gave me a little bit of trouble. So just put a piece of Scotch tape there. Okay. See, I think it's already pulling a little bit on me. And then we're going to put our little lamb right in the middle of the circle. Okay, see, he's already starting to spin. And then we want to put the peep on this side and make sure he's going straight and he's not going like this. So we are going to put some Tombow glue in here, and we're going to put our little peep on this side. There we go. So we've got that. And like I said, you can experiment and see. Let me see with the glue. I can push this a little bit. What is the best mechanism to put in there? I think I need a little stronger of the fishing line. Oh, and look at this cute little tag here. I used my Label Me Fancy punch, and I just used the cute little sentiment. This is nice because it's a baby set or a friend set, also an Easter set. So I just stamped that in the coordinating color Pear Pizzazz, and then I found this tiny little heart in the Lasting a Lifetime dies. They are called Lasting Elegance dies. Oh, these beautiful dies, and had a tiny little heart in there. So I used that little heart, even though the font is really cute the way they did the font, but I wanted a little pink in there. So I went ahead and popped that little pink in there. Now my little lamb is just colored with light smoky slate and light balmy blue and ivory. And then my little peep, he's just light daffodil delight and light pumpkin pie. And my little bunny, I have a little adhesive there. I did my bunny in light crumb cake and light flirty flamingo on the inside. Oh, he's so cute. So we're gonna pop this on the front here using some dimensionals. Get those on here. Pull off our the backs of our dimensionals. There we go. And then just pop this into the middle of our card. And what are we missing? This cute little scallop here just to finish it off. You don't necessarily have to do it, but I thought it was a nice finishing touch there. And what I did to do that is I just took that circle that I cut the hole out of on the front of the card, and I put it down, cut the circle. You use a circle for something else. Then you put this down around the circle and cut out just a little bit around the circle. So that would have probably been a good thing to show you. Like as you can see here, I cut the circle first, then I discarded the circle, and then I had the negative, and then I just put that scallop around the hole that was die cut, and then you just get this tiny little border. So we'll just put a little Tombow around the edges, and we'll pop that onto our card. And it just gives a really beautiful finishing off of just, pretty little lacy babies and exciting. I just found out one of my bestie's daughter is going to have another little girl in August. I'm so excited. So then we are going to open it up, and why not finish off this pretty little circle on the inside? So I did another one of these scallops using my layering circles, and I just pop that on the inside, and that just gives it another little finishing touch. Notice how nice there's no etching on here because I used a nice clean plate. So there we go. We have that front part done. We just have to finish off the inside, which is super easy. You just take a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White, and you just pop that on the inside. Gives it a nice 1/8 inch border all around. There we go. And then I put little Bun Bun in there. Now, first I had him here, and look what happened. On the other card, I had him up too high, so I stuck him over here because the higher part is over here, and there's more room when the card is closed. So where's my snail? There it is. Okay, so let's put our bunny on there. We'll just pop our bunny down in the corner. So we've all those cute little critters in that set. And then before you put the card into the envelope, now this is you wind it up. You wind it, wind it, wind it, so that whenever the person opens it up, it has this effect where it's turning. But I'm actually thinking right now that I did not put I should have used a little stronger adhesive on mine. So I might be doing a little tearing up here and redoing this string, because that is the most difficult part of the card, is getting it nice and taut. So I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of surgery here on this card to get my string a little bit tighter. But once you get that part of the card done, you are golden. So there we go. We have our cute little guy here. So cute. And it twists around here. Use any type of designer paper you have, any images you have, anything that can fit in a nice opening on the card to spin around. And as you can see, you still have lots of room to write a little message up here. You could write at the top here who it's to. Welcome, little one, so excited. So there you go. The Welcome Easter, a great set for Easter and for baby. And this is a spinner card. You can find all the directions, all the measurements that I've used on this particular card, on my blog, cindyleebedesigns.com. Right under the description on the YouTube video, right at the bottom, you're going to see all the materials I used and the measurements. There's also a link that says visit my blog here. And you can go right to my blog and find other additional pictures and tips that I might write out for you. So thanks for buzzing by, friends.